Good evening. Whether it is the rising cost of goods, energy bills, and now mortgages, the difficulties facing all of our finances are mounting. So, as the Prime Minister comes under pressure to reverse some of the measures in her mini-budget, tonight we are looking at the impact the rising cost of living is having on the economy, on councils, and on some of the poorest in our communities. But first, when it comes to the economy, the question many are asking is whether we are heading towards a recession. And it's a question our business correspondent Hugh Thomas has been considering in Carmarthen.
Serving up coffee in Carmarthen. They're resilient here, having opened up between COVID lockdowns.
If you're in business, you have to remain optimistic. There's no other way you're going to survive and succeed.
They've had to adapt in order to do that, while the price of things like coffee beans has climbed.
We're lucky. We have a lot of loyal customers and they keep coming back. It's a difficult one. You have to pass on prices, otherwise you're just eating into your profit. Hospitality, a lot of hospitality businesses, cafes in particular, do not have large profit margins.
In the market nearby, there's less optimism from traders who've seen business tail off since the summer.
Generally, it is pretty quiet. It has gone quiet. I would think from a couple of weeks ago.
Really?
Yeah.
And that's what people spending less or not buying at all?
Spending less.
Yeah.
I think people are spending less, definitely.
I have a feeling that once people receive their winter fuel bills, then things might take a downturn.
There are some numbers that help explain how we got here. The economy unexpectedly shrank in August by 0.3%. And then there's the pressure on our personal budgets. Average fixed mortgage rates are now above 6.4%, way higher than people have been used to. And the inflation figure shows us that broadly, prices are almost 10% higher than a year ago. Clearly people are feeling the squeeze here in Carmarthen, whether they're spending money in the shops or they're running a business and trying to make ends meet. So if there is a recession on the way, where's the help going to come from? Investment like this will help. Tens of millions of pounds is being spent by semiconductor company SPTS on a new HQ in Newport, relocating staff and creating jobs too. But the broader economy may still be in a hole, and politicians will need to help us out of it.
If we do have a recession, then we're going to see some very difficult times for individuals and businesses. What we'll continue to do is to look at areas of our economy that can still grow and develop, like this one here. We'll also have to look at how we can support businesses either to survive or to recover as we get through what may be a very, very difficult time.
The UK government says its focus is on growing the economy, and new buildings do provide jobs and the chance for more money to enter the Welsh economy. Legal and General manage pension funds and invested £1 billion of that cash in new buildings that have changed the skyline in Cardiff city centre. The prospect of a recession hasn't put them off.
We're totally aware of the challenging economic, financial and geopolitical headwinds that we face in the coming months. But at Legal and General, we're long-term investors. We have a real confidence in the future and we're ready to be patient.
We know that in the short term, the economic forecast is bleak, but it's much harder to predict how the Welsh economy will weather the storm.
So, Hugh, for all the reasons we saw there in Carmarthen, clearly a worrying time for anyone running a business at the moment.
Yeah, if there's one word people keep saying to me, it's uncertainty. People who are running businesses at the moment just don't know what's around the corner. But like we heard in Carmarthen, they're already getting the sense that people are spending less, and they don't know as business owners whether they can put their prices up to match their costs rising. They don't know whether they should be scaling back on what they're doing or whether they should be adapting, trying to make themselves more resilient for what's to come and what is to come. We know that the Bank of England and the big investment banks are all pricing in a recession. What we don't know yet is how deep and how long that recession might be. But if there is something I suppose people can look at, it's what we heard at the start of that piece, the idea that you need optimism, that you need confidence, that a lot of that will be required to get through what may be coming up in the next few months. But in the meantime, we know that there are bits of the Welsh economy that are particularly fragile if there is a recession, and people will be looking to government to see what are the solutions, what help can be offered. But in the meantime, that uncertainty remains, but a hint of that optimism required to deal with what might be coming down the track.
OK, Hugh, thanks very much indeed.